sometimes I think about the place where I grew up, and I wonder how many people from there have ever come to Chicago. And it's not because I'm from some small, remote place. I'm from one of the most heavily populated municipalities in Mexico, Nezahualcóyotl, or Neza, for short. And yeah, exactly. So one time I was telling my roommate about it, and he's like, "Wait, isn't that one of the biggest slums in the world?" I'm like, "No way." But actually, according to the World Economic Forum, he was right. But anyway, the point is that it is a world apart from where I am today with all of you, and I just feel so privileged. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about privilege in my life, and I hope the story will resonate with some of you. The title of my talk is Volver a los 17, which is a song by Chilean poet and singer Violeta Parra, and it translates to going back to 17, which is what I invite you all to do right now. Go back to when you were 17. Think about your uncomfortable moment, okay. Think about your high school and who were your closest friends and how proud are you of your style back then, means not so much. Anyway, were you in love? I was in love. I was also exploring my sexuality. And then one day, I became worried that I might be pregnant. And so I took a pregnancy test, and then a second one, and a third, and they were all positive. So I felt like a huge failure. I was supposed to be the promise of my family, the nerd one who would go to college. So I was ashamed. I decided to keep it a secret from my family, and especially my biggest ally, my mom. I didn't know anything about abortion. The only thing I knew was this traumatic video they showed me in middle high of a fully formed fetus being ripped apart. So I looked on the internet for solutions, and I found this lady who sold some pills to terminate a pregnancy, and it seemed sketchy and I was nervous about it. So I reached out to my health sciences professor, and I told her what I was planning to do, take these pills, and she just said, "Do not do that. That is extremely dangerous and you could die." So I asked her, "What can I do then?" And she said, "God sent you this pregnancy and He knows what He's doing." But to me, I never grew up with a religion, so the idea of the pregnancy being God sent was incomprehensible, and it didn't offer any relief. So I was just going to go with the pills. But I had one thought in my mind, which is, what if I do die? What if my mom receives a call from the police or a hospital informing her that I am dead? And I never talked to her about what was happening to me. So I decided to have a very difficult conversation. I told her I needed to talk, and then I said the words, "Mom, I'm so sorry, I am pregnant." So she was very compassionate about that. She was just very practical. She held my hand, and she told me that we will find a doctor to help me. Now, at the time, abortion was only legal in Mexico for extreme cases, as rape, the risk of death for the woman, and severe malformations. So that meant that getting one for me was very expensive, and my mom had to spend about half of her income that month to get the procedure. And I felt very guilty about that because it's not like we had extra money. So when the day came and the anesthesia was kicking in, I felt very, very afraid. I thought that maybe I would die because maybe I deserved it. And the nurses were very nice to me, and after that I just went home with my mom and we kind of swept it all under the rug. And I want to be very clear about something. I never regretted my decision. But it made me feel very bad for a long time, and I thought about it every day. Now, I talked about privilege at the beginning because my experience, as hard as it is for me to talk about it, and you can see, it is a very privileged one compared to most women in my country and in Latin America. Patricia Mendez had criminal charges of homicide brought against her in Veracruz, Mexico, for having a spontaneous abortion. In fact, half of the states in Mexico protect life since conception, which often means that women who have abortions are criminalized. Also in Mexico, Adriana Manzanares had to spend 7 years in prison because she had an abortion that was actually caused by beatings from her father and other members of her community. Mexico City is today the only place in all of Mexico where women can get abortions up to 12 weeks into the pregnancy. In all the world, there are 8 countries that have total abortion bans, and 6 of them are in Latin America, especially in Central America. And that often leads to women facing stigma and severe dangers to their health, to their lives. In El Salvador, it's one of the most extreme cases. Carmen Vasquez, she was raped when she was 17 by a neighbor, and she later had also a spontaneous abortion. She had to spend 10 years in jail for it. Now, a ban in abortion does not reduce the rate of abortions done. It just puts women in greater danger, in extreme situations, in desperate situations where they have to go to back alley abortions, coat hanger abortions, pills from the internet abortions. And I think that puts, I know that that puts disproportionately women who are poor and who live in developing countries at risk for their lives. And I think it's up to all of us to mobilize, to utilize our privilege to make sure that they have access to the reproductive rights they need. Thank you. Actually, in some of these countries they are. So that's one of the huge unfairness of the situation, that even if the law says something, like even in countries like El Salvador, right, any kind of abortion is banned. Even if you're going to die for having a baby, you can't have an abortion. And when women have spontaneous abortions, they are criminalized. They are charged for homicide. It's insane. Yeah.
Hi, thanks a lot for sharing your story, and I'm very, very sorry if this question comes across as confrontational or overly invasive, but in retrospect, what do you think about your health science professor's comments that your pregnancy was a gift from God?
I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about religion, so that I just don't understand. I guess I understand where that comment comes from, but I don't understand the logic. I mean, my country is, what, 90% Catholic? I don't know, so that's just, like, even when I think about my guilt, right? I mentioned, I grew up with no religion, but I felt so guilty. And how did that mindset kind of creep into my head, right? I don't know, that's just the society we live in. It sucks.
Any question? Just follow up. What would you now, if you are now facing that teacher, what would you say to him or her? And if a girl with the same behavior problem came to you, what would you say to her?
I mean, I've had this similar situation happen in my family, and I mean, I'm always going to stand with women and women's rights. So that's my position, always and forever. But to the teacher, I mean, I don't know. You don't want to offend people's beliefs, right? But I mean, that's her personal opinion. But really, that day she could have harmed me very, in a serious way. So I don't know. Oh, sorry. Hey.
Okay. So you mentioned that after you had the abortion, that you and your mom swept it under the rug. So can you talk a little bit about why you think you haven't, or have you talked about it since then with her? Will you tell her that you gave this Kachakucha tonight?
And I had never talked about it other than with my very, very close friends and my partner. So, yeah, I think I will tell her after tonight that I talked about this on camera. But honestly, because she reacted in such a compassionate way after I told her, I think the same is going to happen now. I'm lucky in that sense. That's part of my privilege too.
Alex? So, I mean, I'm curious because, yes, I guess every woman in Mexico might be, for as liberal as they are, as like for women's rights they are, they would feel guilty about talking about this. Where do you think this comes from? Even if you're not in a very religious family, where the blame comes from? I mean, I was thinking, if I was a male who could get pregnant and got pregnant, I would be like, well, I had an abortion, whatever, because I didn't want to have a baby. Why do we talk about that? What do you think?
I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just a society that we live in, and religion, unfortunately, plays a huge part in that, right? I mean, even if you are not in a religious family, it's just, that's the way everyone else thinks. It's very difficult.
Do you think it can be related to controlling our sexuality, even in a non-religious way? Like, that means you have sex, that means you are poor, so you shouldn't talk about that. You screw it up and you are trying to fix it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the kind of mentality that we run into. Right?